A Noble Purpose Dairy Feeder Training is brought to you by Diamond V in partnership with the U.S. Dairy Education and Training Consortium.
Noble Purpose. When we feed cows, we are not just feeding animals, we are feeding the entire world. Dairy products such as milk, cheese, and butter are an important part of a healthy diet. As the world population grows, demand for dairy products continues to increase. People around the world depend on dairy farmers and their employees to provide a healthy, safe product from animals that are well taken care of. Good animal care begins with a well-balanced nutrition program for the animals. And as a member of the dairy feeding team, that starts with you. Nutrition and cow health. Dairy cows are herbivores, which means their diet comes from plants. Cows are a special type of herbivore called a ruminant. Ruminants are different from other herbivores because they chew frequently, even when they are not eating. This chewing activity is called rumination, or chewing the cud. Ruminants regurgitate their swallowed food so it can be chewed again and processed further, providing more nutrients from the plant. While people have one stomach, ruminants have four. These stomach compartments are called the reticulum, rumen, omasum, and abomasum. Just like us, cows need a healthy diet. For them, a healthy diet includes the right balance of plants rich in fiber or forage with grains and other high-energy feeds, known as concentrates, and the right mix of vitamins and minerals. This balance of forages and concentrates helps the rumen to digest the feed well and keep the cow healthy and productive. A diet that is not properly balanced can cause cows to be less productive or possibly get sick. There are many diseases related to nutrition. When dairy cows get sick, one of the first places to look is the diet, what and how much cows are eating. Silage management. Forages are high-fiber plant materials, primarily plant leaves and stems. Cows can eat forages fresh by grazing or in fresh chopped form. But they are usually preserved as hay or silage so they can be stored and fed later. Forages provide fiber, which helps cows to maintain a healthy, functioning rumen. But when fed alone, they don't provide the cow with enough energy for good health and high milk production. Concentrates are high-energy, low-fiber feeds such as grains or similar products. Concentrates can come from vegetable, animal, or mineral sources. They can be intact, such as corn grain, or be a byproduct of another industry such as brewer's grains or distiller's grains. Concentrates have more energy than forages. Both forages and concentrates are an important part of a healthy, balanced diet for a dairy cow. Silage is chopped in the field when it is ready to be harvested. It is then moved by truck to the storage area, where it is packed into a large pile or bag. Here, they are driving tractors over the silage pile to pack it and remove air, which helps to prevent silage from spoiling. After the pile is completed, it should be covered with 2 layers of plastic as soon as possible to stop oxygen from getting into the pile. Then the plastic is covered with tires to hold the plastic down and keep oxygen out. While many producers pack silage into piles, some producers prefer the use of long plastic bags to store silage. No matter which system you use, it is important to regularly inspect the plastic covering the silage for holes caused by birds or other animals, or caused by bad weather such as hail. Holes in the plastic will expose the silage to oxygen and cause it to spoil. Silage piles are very dangerous and cause fatal accidents every year. Do not stand in front of the silage face as it can collapse and seriously injure or kill you. You are not safe even if you are in a vehicle. It's also important to be careful when uncovering silage. Do not stand too close to the edge. If you need to remove tires that are close to the edge, use a hook or other tool to slide them away. Some dairies use a mechanical rake to hook the tires and plastic and drag it down the side of the pile in a safe manner. It is best to only uncover enough silage for a few days of use. Shave the desired amount of silage from the face into a row. Always maintain a well-groomed, smooth face that is slightly sloped away from you toward the silage pile. The slope makes it less likely for silage avalanches to occur. Silage can heat up quickly and spoil once it has been removed from the pile, because mixing with the air causes bacteria, yeasts, and molds to grow, which produces heat. Hot feed may contain bad bacteria or toxins produced by mold, which can make cows sick. Try to only remove enough silage from the pile for the day's feeding. If there is some silage left after feeding, do not feed it to more sensitive cows like close-up, fresh, or high-producing cows. Commodity management. The commodity barn, also called the feed center, is the feeder's office. It is the place where feed ingredients are stored, all in one location for easy access. The cost of feed is the biggest cost of operating a dairy. There are important steps you can take as a feeder to minimize the wasting of feed and to make the most accurate mix possible so that cows are healthy and productive. First, safety is the highest priority. There are many people who visit dairies who may be unaware of the dangers around them. Be aware of people entering or exiting the feed mixing area. Do not place piles of feed in places that block your view of people or vehicles entering or leaving. Organize feed in a way that decreases the number of times you have to back up. And when backing up is necessary, always check behind the loader to make sure that no one has entered the feed area. Many commodity barns are designed to help reduce feed loss from wind, rain, and snow. Some are L-shaped, protecting against the most common wind direction. Others are completely enclosed, with just one or two entrances or exits, and sometimes even have roofs. Whatever the design, it may be necessary to change how and where you are loading the feed during bad weather or heavy wind. One of the biggest issues with rain is that it changes the moisture level, and therefore the weight of ingredients such as silage. Because it is wet, a smaller amount of silage weighs more, so while you are feeding the same weight of feed, you are actually feeding much less actual feed because of the weight of the water. Just like food in your refrigerator, cow feed can spoil. It is important to store the feed in a way that you are using the oldest feed first. This is especially important with wet feeds like distiller's grains, as they can quickly heat up and grow mold and bad bacteria that can make cows sick. It is important to be consistent in mixing and delivering feed to the cows. Cows are creatures of habit, and change hurts their health and performance. The goal is to deliver the same feed mixed the same way at the same time every day. If everything is clean and well organized, it is much easier to do a good job mixing the feed. Ingredients such as hay or silage that may require more than one bucket per load should be stored close to the mixer. This helps you be more efficient and lowers the amount of time you have to spend driving between the ingredient and the mixer. If you have to drive a longer distance between the ingredient and the mixer, or if you have to turn or back up too much, you are more likely to drop feed. This causes you to have to make additional trips, which uses more energy and time and may waste feed, which is called shrink. Since feed is the most expensive part of operating a dairy, a lot of money is lost to shrink. Keep the feed area clean and organized, and pick up dropped feed whenever possible. However, do not use feed that you have driven over or has become wet or muddy. Also, if two dropped feeds have mixed together, you do not know how much of each will go into the mix, which will cause the mix to be less accurate and consistent. These changes can make the cows sick or produce less milk. So if you have a doubt about a feed, check with your manager or nutritionist before using it. Mixing factors. Cows need consistency to be healthy and perform at their best. Any change of their diet can lower milk production or make them sick. How you mix the feed is very important in keeping cows healthy and maintaining high milk production. On dairies, we feed a total mixed ration or TMR. The goal of a TMR is for every bite of feed to have the complete, properly balanced diet. Here we see an example of good mixing in a vertical mixer wagon. The feed is moving well, lifting and falling, and there are no places where the feed is sitting still. It is good to observe your mixer regularly and investigate anything that doesn't look right. Follow the recommended mixer maintenance schedule provided. Mixers are designed to be loaded in the center. Loading on one end instead of the center of the mixer will result in poorly mixed feed. This is important when loading liquid ingredients as well. Here's a good example of proper liquid loading: a pipe with multiple holes that spreads the liquid out across the load. There are many different types of liquid loading stations on dairies, but no matter what type of system you have, it is important to place the center of the mixer wagon under where the liquid goes in. The place where you mix the feed should be level. If the mixer wagon is not level, feed will collect more on the downside and not mix correctly. Poorly mixed feed can cause cows to be less healthy and produce less milk. Be careful not to overfill the mixer, as this will cause inadequate mixing of ingredients. The dairy nutritionist is the person who makes the recipe for the feed. When they formulate the diet, they have a plan for the exact order in which you should mix the feed. It is important to mix ingredients in the order that your feeding software or feed sheets indicate. However, if you see something that doesn't look right to you, such as spoiled feed ingredients or poor mixing, give your manager or nutritionist a call and let them know what you observed. A change may not be necessary, but if there is a problem and you help fix it by calling attention to it, you can prevent cows from getting sick and hurting milk production. In vertical mixers, the augers work together to mix the feed and push it to the door for delivery. Because they are designed to work together, their movement must be coordinated so that the same part of each auger meets at the same time. If they are not coordinated, they will not mix the feed well. This coordination is called the auger timing sequence. Augers should be calibrated for the correct timing sequence according to the manufacturer's recommendations. In addition to timing, the speed of the augers is important. To calculate the speed of vertical augers, count the number of times the augers turn in 1 minute. If the augers are too slow, they will not lift and mix the feed well, causing variation in the diet, which is not good for the cows. If they are running too fast, the feed might get overmixed or chopped too finely, which can make cows sick and decrease their milk production. The recommended speed for the augers varies according to the manufacturer. check with your local equipment representative to get the recommended speed for your mixer. It is also important to make sure the augers are turning at the same speed. The TMR needs to be mixed for enough time to blend all the ingredients together. Specific mixing time will vary depending on the load size, mixer type, mixer equipment wear, and amount or type of ingredients. Follow the dairy nutritionist's recommendations for exact mixing times. Forage restrictors are flat pieces of metal in vertical mixers that can be moved in or out to help process forage. They are designed to push the feed toward the knives so the forage can be chopped up. But in some cases, if they are pushed all the way in, they can stop the feed from mixing well. Depending on the type of feed ingredients you are mixing, they may not need to be pushed in all the way or at all. Consult your nutritionist for the best forage restrictor settings for the diets fed on your dairy. Delivery. After the feed is mixed, it is time to deliver it to the cows. It is important to deliver feed along the entire length of the feed bunk. The goal is to make sure the feed is available for all the cows. Cows are creatures of habit and usually eat in the same general area of the feed bunk. If a cow goes to the feed bunk and doesn't find any feed, she may go lay down and we miss an opportunity for a meal. In order for the cow to be healthy and make high-quality milk, she must eat enough feed, so missed meals mean less milk production and less healthy cows. While it is good to deliver feed along the entire feed bunk, there are certain parts of the feed bunk where more cows eat, so it is important to pay attention to these areas and deliver more feed to them so they don't run out. Distributing just the right amount of feed can be a challenge. If too much is fed, there will be feed left over, which may spoil, and feed that is thrown away is money wasted. If there is too little feed, cows may not eat enough, which means that they won't produce as much milk and may become sick. Just like people, if cows run out of feed and don't eat for a long time, they will be really hungry when feed is delivered. When cows get really hungry, they eat too much at one time, which can cause digestive problems and make them sick. Ideally, we want cows to eat many small meals and to have food available at the feed bunk anytime they want to eat. Dairy managers and employees should work with their nutritionist to determine how much and how often to feed each pen of cows. The purpose of the TMR is for the cow to eat the complete diet in every bite. The problem is that certain parts of the TMR, like grains, taste better to the cow, so they use their tongues and noses to separate the diet and eat the part that tastes best first. This is called sorting, and if this happens a lot, cows will be less healthy and produce less milk because they're not getting the full diet, just the parts they want to eat. If the feed is not mixed well or is not pushed up often, it is easier for cows to sort feed. Another thing that happens is that as cows eat, the feed gets naturally pushed away from them, making it harder to reach, so cows eat less, and it is also easier for them to sort the feed when it is spread out. Here we can see a space in front of the cows with a ridge of feed that is out of their reach. Anytime a cow wants to eat and cannot reach the feed, an opportunity is lost for her to make more milk. When cows come back from the milking parlor, they are hungry and naturally want to eat. So it is important to make feed available to them when they return, either by pushing up feed or delivering fresh feed. Equipment function and maintenance. Another important aspect of getting cows fed right is making sure the equipment is working properly. The feeder can do a perfect job loading the mixer, but if the feed does not get mixed or delivered correctly, cows will produce less milk and may get sick from an incorrect diet. First, focus on safety. The equipment used to mix and deliver feed is dangerous. Anytime you are inspecting or doing maintenance on any feeding equipment, Take the key out of the ignition and put it in your pocket so that it cannot be accidentally turned on while you are under or around it. Likewise for stationary electrical mixers, cut the power to the equipment before going inside or working on it. After safely turning off the equipment, you can proceed with maintenance or inspection. It is a good idea to do a general check of the equipment every day. Check and make sure that air inlets, filters, and radiators are clean. Check hydraulic oil and engine oil levels and make sure there are no leaks. Look inside the mixer and make sure there are no loose or broken blades or other metal parts. Look at the augers and make sure there is no buildup of old feed or twine wrapped around them. Check the tire pressure. When you are done feeding cows for the day, clean the equipment up so that it is ready to go the next day. In addition to basic daily maintenance, it is important to follow a regular maintenance program on feed mixing equipment and to keep good records of what work was performed and when. Many problems with feeding cows come from poorly maintained or worn-out equipment. Sharp knives are important to make sure the feed is processed correctly so that it can be mixed right. If the knives are dull, they will not cut hay and other forages properly, and the feed will not get mixed well. Kicker plates are metal plates at the base of the auger that help to lift the feed onto the augers during mixing and push it out the door during feed delivery. If they are worn down, feed won't mix properly. Even the augers themselves get worn down over time and eventually need to be replaced. Be sure to pay attention to what the feed looks like after you have delivered it. If the feed has chunks of hay or silage that have not mixed well, or if the feed does not look consistent across the feed bunk, the feed management team will need to find the reason why and correct it. Safety. Farms are busy places, and there are many dangers that can cause injury or death. Safety should be the first priority for all employees, both for themselves and the people around them. While it is important to work efficiently, if you get in a hurry and stop paying attention, you are not working safely. There are no safe jobs, only safe employees and procedures. When working with heavy equipment, always be aware of your surroundings. Watch out for other vehicles or people working in your area. No one wants to be responsible for a life-threatening accident. Before doing maintenance on tractors or feeding equipment, remove the keys from the ignition and cut off the power to any electrical equipment. Take care entering or exiting the tractor or truck. Always enter and exit facing the ladder or cab. Always maintain 3 points of contact until you reach the cab, platform, or ground. Always make sure equipment is safely stopped before exiting the vehicle. Never jump off of equipment. Be aware of loose-fitting clothing that can be caught on equipment, especially moving parts. Whenever possible, moving parts such as PTO shafts should be shielded to minimize the risk of clothing or body parts getting caught in them. Always turn off equipment if you need to service anything. Silage faces are very dangerous. People are injured or killed every year from silage accidents. The face can collapse, so avoid standing or working in front of the face, even if you are in a vehicle. If you have to go on top of the pile to remove plastic, stay as far away from the face as possible. Here is an efficient and safe way to remove tires and plastic from the silage pile. When approaching a corner of a building, drive slowly and take wide turns so that you have time to react if another vehicle suddenly turns the corner. Anything that increases visibility helps to increase safety. Brightly colored walls in the commodity area help to reduce collisions with the wall. Safety vests are always a good idea to make people on the ground more visible. When operating heavy equipment, drive carefully and pay attention at all times. Like driving a car, cell phones are a distraction and compromise safety. Limit cell phone conversations to when the vehicle is not moving. Also, try to avoid backing up as much as possible. Visibility is poor directly behind you, and the chance of an accident is increased. Approach blind corners very slowly and take wide turns so that you have a chance to react if another vehicle suddenly comes around the corner. Making it home safely at the end of the day is the ultimate objective for everyone. So keep safety in mind at all times. As a member of the feed delivery team on the dairy, your job comes with a lot of responsibilities. You're helping to feed the world, but remember to make safety a top priority and keep striving to do the best job you can every day.